throughout phase one, that they lost out on the early game with that push top that was heads up by Leftovers. A great early start from them that Freedom were not expecting. They had to build themselves back into this game, and that they did that is the most impressive thing for me. Team Freedom, once they started doing that, looked clean.
For me, it all came to that fight in the bottom left corner, and we'll have to see if our analysts agree. Let's go ahead and send it over to them as they're ready to talk about game number one.
A lot to talk about because, guys, between these two teams, there are 10 total Dragon Shire names. 0-5 for Leftovers, 3-2 for Team Freedom, and I can tell you that neither team has picked that map during league play. Neither has, which means Team Freedom, they're doing their research, they're showing that they know their strengths. 3 times in league play, it was first picked as a map against Leftovers. So Team Freedom, they come in with a clear plan, counter that of Leftovers. So if you're a Leftovers fan, you know that Team Freedom is showing their weak point, but that was a dominant performance by Team Freedom.
That was a beautiful performance. I was wondering where this version of Team Freedom's been all along. That micro play, their ability to save themselves, to manage their health bars, to come out in the clutch in those team fights. I love seeing that kind of heroes.
My concern is more with the way that the Leftovers played this one out. When I was speaking with them yesterday, I was pretty critical about some of their decision making when it comes to picking team fights, and I got a replay here that we can jump into to go over the fight that I actually think is probably most important in this game. And what happens here is Leftovers, they keep picking these bad fights to take for themselves. Right now, if we consider the bottom side of the map, there we are. Wrong thing here. Excuse me. But yeah, so they have control over the bottom side of the map. They also have control over the shrine, so they're not in any pressure right now to really do anything. They're almost level 16, as we see. They don't need to take any fights, but this is the same thing that they did against Heroes Hearth. They took a fight on their Sapper camp when it was disadvantageous when it came to numbers for themselves, but this one is disadvantageous when it comes to talent. So let's have a look at what happens. Nasmus is top, and he actually dug up there, so he cannot... Here we go. We're going to move forward. Actually, I'm not 100% positive if he did dig. I can't actually look at the cooldown at this point. But the most important thing is the fact that they're not quite level 16. And look, what happens is Team Freedom, they try to find a pick. Mobsio re-engages, but there's literally no reason why the Leftovers need to try to find a fight here. They have control over bottom. They just need to wait till level 16, but they take this fight and they end up losing it. And what happens off of this fight is Team Freedom get a DK, they get a 2-level lead, they end up getting that fight onto bottom lane that Trick was saying was very, very important, but they wouldn't have had those conditions unless the Leftovers made such a big error here in this team fight.
Well, one of the things I noted in that fight, obviously we saw the armor reduction from Dahaka, who did end up making it in that fight, and the salvos that have constantly been coming out. It seems Phoenix has been that high priority hero for a lot of teams. We'll actually take a look at some of the highlights from Phoenix that we've had, because he has been very prominent in our meta. Most notably, he does pretty good at clearing Zerg waves. It seems Phoenix does a little bit of everything that we have here, but gentlemen, Phoenix has been that standout ranged assassin that tends to fit into every single composition for these teams.
Phoenix has been like the ultimate jazz hands of this entire tournament, because he just kind of serves as a distraction, or it's the other way around where there's a tracer that everyone's worried about, and meanwhile Phoenix is melting everybody on the front line. Letting this hero go through is proving to be something of a liability.
He provides a lot of wave clear as well. His team fighting presence is massive. He has a lot of survivability in comparison to some of the other ranged. He works in, as you said, every single composition basically, and synergizes so well with slows and all types of other stuff that are prominent in the meta.
Our fans out there, go Phoenix. Talk about the low-hanging fruit, but the one that said pick Tyrande, that's my favorite. Let's find out what battleground we're going to next, and if Leftovers is going to turn this around, or are they going to take map control? They are indeed. Guys, if you want a team fight, there is no better map. The arena of death, I like to call it, in the middle around those immortals. Leftovers looking to flip the script here with Battlefield of Eternity.
I think they want to take this. They want to take team fights. They want to be able to rumble. I feel like they got out-rotated and out-macroed, so why not go to the battleground that features that style of play the least?
My one concern, Team Freedom, again, they've been playing some different style heroes. This is another one of those maps where Samuro can be played. I'm not saying that that is going to happen, but right, it is. You know, this is another Abathur, another Dahaka Samuro style, and if you just want to team fight, those are the picks you have to be worried about.
My favorite part about the matchup is DAB. He shows that Li Ming can be a powerhouse in the right hands. But I want to take everybody back to the name Yoda on Team Freedom. Somebody who made his name on plays on Li Ming. He's played everything, it seems like, in his time, as we do see the Abathur ban. But I always like to point out, because I'm a huge Diablo fan, you guys know this, Yoda has been at the top of the leaderboards in Diablo 3 multiple seasons, most notably playing the Wizard. I'm just pointing that out if Li Ming does come in.
The big question that I have is Team Freedom, are they going to ban Li Ming or Gray Main? I feel like anytime the dog tried to jump in there, he got crated, but I wouldn't exactly leave him out here on this battleground. Li Ming, DAB's Li Ming, that was a large part of why Heroes Hearth had to play the game twice yesterday. Either way, he's going to be a huge threat.
We're seeing some prioritization. Again, banning off the Diablo, something very consistent that we have been seeing Team Freedom have the opportunity to pick Muradin as well. You know, we've been seeing Muradin first pick multiple times now. This is one of his better maps because you can kind of change the way that your build works out, and he also just works fantastically. But instead, Team Freedom elect to choose the Yrel at this point. Yrel not making it through too many times, but I think that's a strong first pick. Leftovers, they have now they have the opportunity to really put Mopsio on a massive playmaker.
Team Freedom has to be like, what do I have to do? Even after that stronger performance, 64% of the votes still slanting over the Leftovers?
Ooh. What? That Deckard in Phoenix looks nice, but I'm going to park my car over here. I'll see you in a little while. And if I don't, then I got a portal out. So Sergeant Hammer instantly locked in Medivh. That is all their damage. That is the backline and the front line, meaning that if you are going to counter it, at least you know what you're dealing with damage-wise in its totality, because there's nothing but the tank and the support left for Team Freedom.
This ban, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a Li Ming? Is it going to be a Chromie ban? When you have, there's the Li Ming instead. I think that is actually smarter than the Chromie, less predictable. You've got the Medivh spells in order to stop all the damage from Chromie coming through. I think that's a much smarter ban.
I have to agree with that. Gray Main, he definitely helps with the race. He brings a lot to the table. But Li Ming, if she gets those cooldown resets, that could be your entire team sitting the rest of the team fight out. So I do think that's the right choice. I imagine we're going to see Gray Main. I don't think they need to take it right here if they don't want to, and they're going to prioritize their solo laner and they go for the Garrosh before Zudro came.
The Samuro pick. Little less likely at this point, but I did. I still remember Wubby bringing that out at Mid-Season Brawl last year, and it was BOE, the map that it's kind of like, hey guys, look what this can do. And we'll see if that shows up later in the tournament. But Team Freedom, tank, still available. Is that Muradin if they want to have more protection? They are going to go that route support-wise. Rhaegar, give them some more race, some more single-target protection as well.
This says to me that they're anticipating the Gray Main. They want the Ancestral Healing because once Gray Main goes in, either through Curse Bullet or go for the throat, they want to have that burst response along with Medivh's protection.
He also got Cleanse as well for some additional unstoppable frames.
You guys
there.
remember that Genji hero?
Who?
Which one?
Most teams in North America would ban out the Genji for fear of the dive. He has a lot of room to work here. I don't know if this is where it is, but we are going, if you're going in hard here with the Thrall.
For all the knock-knock jokes, that melee hammer is going to do some work. I'm really surprised to see that. Maybe DAB's like, I didn't do too much on Gray Main last time. They've shut that down. Let's try to throw something else at them. He also has pretty solid race, and the follow-up route could have a huge impact when someone tries to disengage.
It's those synergies, right? It's the Thrall and the Phoenix together in the same composition. Garrosh as well, just to keep enemy heroes in the same location. I absolutely love the draft from Leftovers. At the same time, on the side of Freedom, you've got that hammer. It's always one of those picks that's just so difficult to deal with.
Well, let me throw this at you because it's a hero, it's a talent that we've seen nerfed and changed and slightly nerfed again. Crash Lightning. Is this the time that you know you're going to be in a poke war? And Thrall does do good with heavy engages as long as skill shots are landing, but how do you get in on those moments? Is it better to trade poke, or are you just going, look, that's old meta, it's nowhere near as strong? How, your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely think that it's not going to be a Crash Lightning. I think Echo is just way too strong. Not only is it just good by itself, but having the extra stacks allows you to stack up your level 7 talent further and get more survivability. You get more Frostwolf Resilience procs. It's just, I think it's better all the way around. It doesn't, the damage just does not outweigh the utility and survivability that Echo provides.
I'm with you, Jay. If I'm playing that game, if I'm Thrall, I'm going Crash Lightning. Smork, me go face, because I want that constant poke to really exhaust Rhaegar's sustain options. If they're able to poke them down and then go for the throat afterwards, they're going to win it. It's lit.
Let's see if this map and this draft is what can get Leftovers back in as we send it over to Trixler and Gillyweed.
Game 2 with Team Freedom currently leading 1-0 over the Leftovers. Trick, do you get much Sergeant Hammer in EU on Battlefield?
We get it occasionally. We went through a couple weeks where Sergeant Hammer started to pop up. We had it from ADRD in the past actually on this battleground. So there is this idea of setting up and sieging away. but you look over to Leftovers, and they have a really good team fight composition, and you get team fights on this battleground, but I feel like you look over to Team Freedom, and they can escape away from any fight.
Yes, having a Medivh proved useful for Team Freedom in the last game, especially when those engages came in from Leftovers. Let's see if we can do it again.
Let's go into it. Here on the left side in the blue, Blackitney playing Thrall, Mobseo on Garrosh, 40 Boss on Blaze, DAP on Phoenix, and Linked playing Dickard Kane. It will be the Leftovers.
And their opponents in the red currently up 1-0. Zugrug playing Murden, Nasmus on Urel, Collusion playing Rhaegar, Yoda back on Medivh, and Lutano playing Sergeant Hammer. Team Freedom.
If Team Freedom gets another win here on game number 2, I expect we might be seeing some Medivh bans because it's actually been pivotal for them to get these wins. In game number 1, their control with the character and finding targets was phenomenal. We'll see if they'll be able to keep that up here as Leftovers are already looking for a fight. They charge in. Mobseo goes for a bit of a toss here with the Garrosh, trying to get some damage on Zugrug. And this is something that we actually saw at the Western Clash. He's one of the players that actually brought Garrosh into the meta. He loved Garrosh. He loves playing it with the team.
Well, this is a great comp with it. He's got follow-up crowd control, made better with Warlord's Challenge. They have a lot of different methods of trying to get around Team Freedom, especially if Urel and Murden get a little too ham to jump on top of that Sergeant Hammer, leaving it to Rhaegar and Medivh to keep him alive. Yeah, of course, there's also the armor and the knockback and all of that, so we'll have to see. But I'm liking what I see from Leftovers so far in this draft. Also, Team Freedom trying to bring up and make a cheeky play in the top lane on the structures here, but this is something that the Leftovers are known to do themselves.
Yeah, that they are. I mean, I'm looking at Team Freedom here, and I'm looking at Lutano once again. He spammed Sergeant Hammer for weeks on his quest to get number 1 in the Hero League ladder for North America, so I know how deadly that character can be for him, and he is set up nice and content. Look at him. He has protection. Murder in the front line, Collusion playing safe, picking up that Wolf Town at level 1 and make sure he can escape away. I don't know how Leftovers can actually jump on this target, especially when you have Garrosh as your main tank.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's especially even harder when Yoda keeps sitting in the patient Raven forms that he does use, just to keep an eye on where Leftovers are. But Leftovers have appropriately adjusted to putting their foreman in the top lane. We'll see if anyone can transition to the Khazra camp. For now, it's all hands on deck, just dealing with Lutano sieging whenever that opportunity presents itself to Team Freedom. They move back, they siege up, they take minions. They move up, they siege up, they take a tower.
Yeah, Leftovers' main focus here, clear out the waves, maybe put a little damage on Lutano, have DAB step up, maybe take that first shot that comes out from Sergeant Hammer because he has the shields and he can, of course, rebuild those up later on. But you just wait until the Immortal phase pop up, and then you respond to your opponent in kind based on how they set up. Because that is what's going to happen here for Team Freedom. They will set up somewhere. It's a matter of how do you break them.
Yeah, around the Immortals, we first saw that from Korean teams. And the setup that you can use around the 4 rock outcroppings in the center, trying to position around those so that you possibly have a back to one of them, so there's less engagement opportunities on top of you. And then it makes it so hard to get on top of Hammer while she just slowly pokes down the Immortal. And with a lot of the heroes being banned away like Hanzo that are fast racers, we don't see anything like a Greymane. It's a lot more about that poke for Sergeant Hammer, and maybe we see, you know, Phoenix and Thrall move over and try to burn down the Immortal on Freedom's side.
If Leftovers can find an edge somewhere, whether it be a kill or even a little bit more damage on the Immortal due to a slow rotation of Team Freedom, they've got decent damage.
Yeah.
Phoenix and Thrall will get it done, but they definitely want to make sure they have a small advantage somewhere. Team Freedom holding this top lane, getting that pushed in with the camp, actually, demanding that Leftovers come over and give them some attention. And Leftovers do. They put a little bit of damage on the Shambler here, but Lutano trying to go for that last turret there.
Portal is down. This might prove useful for Leftovers as they bring Pokeballs up. Now it's been shown they've made this rotation faster. Root hits. This is not a target that wants to go down. Not Yoda, not when he's stacking, but it's not to be saved. His stacks are reset. First blood for Leftovers.
Solid lockdown there and chasing Yoda, making sure that if he drops that portal, which was used earlier, that he would be thrown away. Garrosh saved onto that target, and then eventually the full CC came out, and now Leftovers can put a little bit of damage on the Immortal, but Team Freedom already doing that here on the bottom right. Sergeant Hammer, nice and set up, while Body Boss attempts to poke.
Everyone just fully focused on this. He saw the poke from the bottom at Pody Boss. I got very scared, but not with anyone else looking to jump in at the same time. I think it's very likely that when the full engagement happens, it'll be something more like the pincer with all of the crowd control, or just Mobseo running in for a stun on Lutano, trying to slow things down while the rest of his team clears out lanes and gets into position.
I mean, that's what you need when you're playing against Sergeant Hammer. You need conviction. You need to chase that target down. If you dance around, he's gonna get punished. So Mopsio does that. He recharges straight towards Sergeant Hammer, looks for a bit of a combo, tries to get that level 4 pop, while Blakitny on the left is putting some damage on the Immortal.
Boss and the rest of Leftovers are split apart. Now Team Freedom recognizing this, seeing the health bar of the Immortal start to drop, comes in, finishes out the Immortal with the lead that they got. Leftovers knew that they were likely to lose this Immortal, but it was just about bringing down the shields if they could. If they got a kill, and especially if they got a kill on Sergeant Hammer, then maybe they could get the Immortal, but not getting that, they have at least brought this to a more manageable level.
I am a bit worried about defense for Leftovers. They don't have the large amount of range that Sergeant Hammer brings with an Immortal pushing forward, so that means that DAB may have to step up, and that could be a time for Zugrug to jump in, drop a Stormbolt, lock him down, and attempt to take him out. So have to play safe. They get him down the range phase here, go straight into melee. We'll be able to grab a turret, but so far Leftovers actually doing pretty all right here. I'm waiting for that portal. There it is. Team Freedom is going for the aggressive play.
Yeah, you always watch for that. It's just funny to see Lutano go through, still in siege mode, but now that he has hover siege, he is all right.
I feel like it's kind of broken. Why is that allowed?
Shows up, still sieged just fine. For about to a third health after the onslaught of Team Freedom. There is still a camp available here if they want to try to siege up, keep this push, maybe try to pick up that camp, but Leftovers don't want to give them that for free.
Well, level 7 does connect for Thrall. Big power spike for him, as mentioned on the analyst desk. Want to finish out that Ancestral Wrath, allows you to try and blow up a target. Murd in particular can be one that can finally focus later on when the Alpha Wolf is available at level 16. Leftovers making a play though, saying, all right, we're going to skin our Grand here on top of this camp. The Sergeant Hammer and crew want to come in and contest, and Team Freedom plays it wise. We have easy defense when it comes to this. We don't have to actually fight over that area. So Team Freedom backs up while Leftovers gets a little bit of pressure on the bottom lane.
They're also somewhat in the lead as that combo hits. Post 10, that could be a different story.
Yeah.
That's Zugrug. He will have Avatar, but then on the other side, Warlord's challenge too. And if Boss had stayed around for the jet propulsion, may have been enough stun lock to actually get the kill there. But for now, it's all about forcing back Freedom further and further, so they're defending their structures versus trying to take those of Leftovers.
Now Lutano able to pop his level 4 talent there, not get locked down by the scroll. Some damage hitting the turrets, but Team Freedom easily defends. What I'm more interested in is Leftovers actually have hung in there in terms of experience as we move towards that level 10 that you were just alluding to. So in the Immortal phase, they have all the options to play defensive if they want to, or continue this aggressive tendency that they keep showing off with Garrosh in particular, looking for the combos. And if Blaze can follow that up with a jet propulsion, land on 2 to 3 members, you only have 1 force of will and immediate damage or healing from Rhaegar. So you can definitely force a fight and get a pick.
You know, talking about that healing of Rhaegar, we've had a few Bloodlust compositions in North America. I don't think we'll see it here. Yes, there is Aegis of Light Armor as a providing from Urel. There's also the Force of Will, the portals of Medivh, but it does make me curious solely because we see Emerald on the other side. If you can get that heal reduction, that's a large amount of heal reduction, but it can be hard to do because you're often setting yourself up with combos with the Herodric Cube.
Something that we've seen in the past, the ancestral healing, even if it is a little bit, might be enough to get you through that combo of Garrosh that you're looking for, right? You want to make sure no one on your team gets blown up. And they've equipped themselves to do that with the Force of Will. But I could see a world if you want to go into the Bloodlust and just give Sergeant Hammer the full range to be a complete beast, but they decided to stick with Ancestral Healing. Leyline Seal picked up. We saw Polybomb earlier on the first map, but Leyline Seal here is set up to make sure that any major hard engage that comes in from Leftovers can be stopped in its tracks.
Because that's what Leftovers will be moving in for. You know, the Warlord's Challenge, which we might see right here as Mopsio got into position with the throw. Avenging Wrath gets Nasmus out. Lornado separates Zugrug away, but he has a Dwarf Toss to get out as well. It's a lower cooldown, so it'll be back up pretty soon. Mopsio still being patient with his taunt until he finds the right target. Throws back into a root. Perfectly done. Great synergy, and now the taunt.
There it is. The taunt comes out. Bunker also used Leyland Steel to catch a few members coming out of said bunker. DAB still connects a Salvo. Only 1 force of will as Urel will be the target. Urel taking damage, able to jump away. Both teams burning heroics, but nobody falling.
Close, but no cigar. But Leftovers are still in a spot where they concede. This is taking over the offensive, aggressive Immortal for them, and Team Freedom wanted to back off to heal back up, and that does give a slight lead in the Immortal health to Leftovers before they start to retreat to the safety of their own Immortal.
Watching Mopsio here. Gets a nice setup here on top of the Immortal stun, but Team Freedom finds a little wiggle room. And they put some damage on the Immortal, slowly trickling it down, but Leftovers are now back and they are healthy, looking for their own fight. Blakitny in the top left, putting some damage on Nasmus, but he'll be able to jump away.
Holy Avenger let Nasmus jump again, but he's not out of this yet. Force of Will is going to save him. Now the turnaround taunt hits Mopsio low, but had that armor 1 for 1 so far.
Lutano able to pick off Mopsio though, 1 for 1 as you mentioned. Team Freedom back up and set up for defense. We need to get Black Kidney on top of this Immortal, get some damage in, but Zugrok is doing everything in his power to say, no, you will not come forward. Jumping even straight on top of the Immortal and slowing down the Leftovers. But with it all said and done, Leftovers find a slight lead, 15,000 to 12,000 health.
I don't believe, halftime show has not been forced yet too, and that is, if Freedom could step out, and they're going to start to do that now, seeing some people back in lanes. DAB wants to clear that out. It's been a lot of brawling, a lot of focus in the center of the map, kind of like old school Battlefield of Eternity versus the things like racing compositions that we've had a lot more recently with Hanzo. But both teams remembering that they also need to go up and soak the lanes are down, and now finally that halftime show will be forced.
Okay, keep an eye on Mopsio. He keeps going in for a combo and tries to get someone to overstep. That way he can step up and go for a tom. But so far, Team Freedom hasn't bitten into that bait. And Leftovers, they are trying to find that angle, but Team Freedom really is actually quite composed. Just playing around Lutano constantly. Collusion in particular is as safe as he can possibly be. Hanging in the back left corner, watching out, staying in the bushes as well, ready with that cleanse on Ancestor Healing in case its team needs it.
Yeah, it's the only target is Sergeant Hammer for the start if Leftovers want to start the fight because of collusion safe positioning. And Lutano, as soon as he sees Mopsio, he always either goes into thrusters or uses his Neosteel plating. Nasmus takes some damage, has the Force of Will, makes it through the stuns. Taunt hits, Ancestral Healing not connecting on. Medivh wanted to drop down and give support to the team to Nasmus and pays for it with his life.
Leftovers are using a lot of smoke and mirrors in these team fights. DAB steps up with some damage up a collusion as well. Zugrok trying to hold the choke, but Leftovers might be able to grab the first Immortal of the game for them here as the second Immortal is about to be cleared up, and there it goes. Now, what happened in that team fight was Nasmus was the main focus. A lot of damage came out. You saw that Ancestral Wrath get used, but you saw Mopsio on the right side, able to find a target, toss him into the fight, and it wound up being a kill thanks to the baited switch of, hey, we're focused on this target, just kidding, here's the one that we want.
Well, the concern there is that Ardent Defender is now 120-second cooldown. Ancestral Healing, very long cooldown too. You want to use Force of Will to give, so you're only using these low cooldowns to save, but then that puts Medivh in a spot. So that was heads up by Mopsio that he switches the target and the rest of the team to follow up with that. And because of that, Medivh's stacks were once again lost. That is especially problematic now as we get to the late game.
And that's where Sergeant Hammer compositions can fall apart. If you lose one person on your team, suddenly it feels like you don't quite have the defense with the full 5-man onslaught that's coming your way. And that's what's being echoed here by Leftovers. They push the top lane, they take down the fort. They can probably put a little bit more damage on top of this keep wall, take that down quickly and get the gate, but I don't see them getting much more, especially with Sergeant Hammer. She is so good on defense.
And Team Freedom, they may not have Samuro, but they still have a split-pushing Yrel that can take down that bottom fort, which does keep them in the game, which is most important. On Battlefield of Eternity, you start losing out on those talent tiers, and you're forced into some very difficult decisions around the objective phase.
Less Orc and more Goat, actually, with those split pushes. He actually still got a fourth, though, in that bottom left. Leftovers actually take a lead in experience here. 13 3/4 to 13 1/4 of Team Freedom. Team Freedom hanging in there. But as we move towards that late game, you can't forget about things like Giant Killer coming online for Sergeant Hammer. Suddenly Gul'dan has had a difficult time already, Garrosh is still an issue. Big fight happening here in top left corner. Earthquake and Bunker being used. Salvo too, as Nasmus jumps in.
Leyline went in, the salvo starting to pepper in the damage with that taunt. Now Muradin gets the heal back up from the Ancestral. Thought that might be scary with that. Lutano's positioning is enough that they get that first kill on Phoenix. They're looking for more. The double stun, the jump on top from Nasmus, chasing down Mopsio on the right, chasing down another person on the left. Linked now in danger as he's thrown into the wall. Dodges the Storm Ball, but it will be all for naught because 4 kills for Team Freedom.
An absolute stomp of a team fight for Team Freedom. The moment they were able to take down Phoenix, you saw Muradin and Yrel jumping on either target they wanted, and they were unfazed. Full health for the entire duration of the fight. Leftovers get caught into a corner, and Team Freedom punished. And they're looking to grab more. They're already sieging up outside the keep wall, and they're building towards level 16 right when Immortal phase is about to spawn.
Yeah, I just talked about how difficult a talent tier advantage is to do, or talent tier deficit to deal with on this 2-lane battleground, wide lanes, when everything comes down to the central area. We're gonna take a look at that fight. Well, where was when it broke wide open for you.
Well, look right here. You can see the ley line seal outside of the bunker as Yoda steps up. He goes straight in for it, gets a couple of important targets. The DAB has to come in. He drops a salvo. He's got a big one. He's trying to get some damage in, but Lutano is shelling away the entire time. He has full control of this. This entire kingdom is his own circle. Lutano gets that pick up, and then you see Zugrug and Nazmas just clean up the rest of the fight while Lutano safely hangs out in a corner.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of differing supports beyond the most important ones, things like Deckard Cain, but Collusion really making Rhaegar work here. And a lot of that is back to the point you made. His positioning was sound there, finally went in. Ancestral went into Ghost Wolf form, made it right back out so that he could stay alive and keep healing up the team.
Leftovers may have gotten wiped in that team fight, but they are back and they are fighting, and they have a small window before 16 connects for Team Freedom. Team Freedom using that window as they stay near their Immortal and play defense, just waiting for that 16 to trickle in. They have Nazmus in the bottom lane, soaking the experience, and the moment that 16 hits, Leftovers will have to back up. They have to deal with the push in this top left, which gives Team Freedom a little more wiggle room to grab this halftime show.
They move in, forming the line around Lutano, Sergeant Hammer. The 16 still not quite here. The bottom was dealt with. Finally shows up for Team Freedom. And now Leftovers have to make a choice. Do they fight without 16? Will they force this? Will they just try to slow things down so that once halftime is forced, they have 16 and they can still fight. They can still try to take this Immortal.
Mopsio and Podyboss are going to be upset that 16 connects. The Giant Killer comes online for Sergeant Hammer, and already a difficult fight for them is going to be much more difficult. Team Freedom, anytime there's even an inkling of fear coming their way, they just pop away, use that Sergeant Hammer boosters, get away from the fight, and play defense. They can play the slow. Leftovers have to speed it up somehow.
Not just Giant Killer, but with the change on Templar's Verdict, we've seen it a whole lot more. Pretty much standard now for this tournament meta, and giving that extra % base damage and armor reduction, which is huge versus a Garrosh, that you could bring down that armor. We'll see how that works out for Team Freedom, who are willing to get aggressive now with that 16, but Leftovers now hit the same talent tier.
Yeah, Lornado dropped there. Leftovers were hoping to maybe section off Nazmus, pull him into the fight, maybe focus him down, get a taunt right before that Ardent Defender is used. But Nazmus plays smart, pull away, and doesn't get caught out. That means one cooldown is down and will not be up for about 20 seconds. Team Freedom has a little bit of pressure coming towards Hammer again, but he just backs away. Rinse and repeat. The strategy works for Team Freedom.
It does, but it did burn Avatar for Muradin. That's one less cooldown to concern Leftovers with if they can get another focus and group together on Muradin. Still halftime not forced, though. Team Freedom continuing to keep the poke up. Positioning very crucial now with Scroll of Stone Curse available to Deckard Cain. We saw it have great success in a lot of different fights. Tempo Storm used it yesterday, and when you're trying to funnel back through chokes, if you get hit multiple people inside of a root, that might be the setup necessary for Leftovers to take a fight.
Slowing pick up at level 16 for Thrall instead of the Alpha Wolf, hoping to slow down the targets that are trying to come into the fight. Mopsio still not enjoying his life as Warrior main right now, as Lutano keeps poking away at his health, putting him down at half health. But luckily with Deckard Cain popping around, you got those heals available too. They just need to find an angle. Team Freedom comes in, gets a little bit of hop on top of Thrall, but Black Kitty is able to back away. Should be nice and healed on up thanks to Linked, but Lutano takes the time to put damage on the Immortal.
And just turns his attention to that. Briefly, finally, gets the swap on the Immortal positioning. We'll see where it goes next for them, if it's an easier spot for them to close this out.
Such a weird issue for Leftovers, because you want to force a fight, but you know you can't just straight up steamroll your way into a fight. You're going to hit with a ley line seal, and Sergeant Hammer, if she has her cooldown thrust, is going to run back on up. But if you play the slow game, you just lose. You are slowly bleeding out. Leftovers will have to find that opportunity to say, okay, it's time to go in for a full-on engage. The question is, where do they go for it? Do they try to put Thrall for a big flank, which is hard to do against a Medivh? This composition from Team Freedom is so well thought out, and they're playing it well.
Yeah, it feels like it's a very linear approach for Leftovers, but that's purely just because you have the vision and you have great positioning and you have the disengage from Team Freedom enough that there's not really anything to be done except for hope that someone's out of position so that Mopsio finds the throw-in. And then they have all of the follow-up damage and crowd control in the world if they can make that happen. They have Stay a While and Listen if anyone tries to save that person. It just has not happened. There's another great example of that. Let's see if maybe on the other side they can find more success.
They're going in. A little bit of damage here. Salvo available too. DAB trying to find a target. Zugrug will pop the Avatar. Scroll comes out in the top right corner to slow down Team Freedom. Damage on Nazmus, but he realizes his team can't follow up, so he backs away. Zugrug finds a Storm Bolt and chases.
Nazmus is sitting on Mopsio with his Templar's Verdict, reducing the armor, allowing Lutano to get more damage in, with his ability just to slow him down so they can't get into a better position for his combos. Mopsio is being so patient with this taunt, though. Like, you gotta give it to him. He is not overusing his abilities. He really is just trying to wait for the right moment.
I have to give it to all the leftovers right now. I'm actually
Yes.
frustrated for them. Like, I'd be like, okay, well, you know what? We're not going to win this one. Let's go to game number 3. You know, like, this is such a difficult team comp to play into. And they're holding in there. They're trying to find the opportunity. And it is true. If you're playing against a slow style, eventually they should make a mistake.
Mopsio.
The question is, can you be there to pick them? Unstoppable comes out once again from Sergeant Hammer, and once again, backs away from the fight.
Back and forth, up and down, lanes forgotten. It's all down to the center of Battlefield of Eternity Freedom with a level lead going into Leftovers Battleground of Choice, one of their favorites for team fighting, but to be denied that fight time and time again, so frustrating. They are relentless. They're going back in for another one.
Team Freedom will have a fight available in about 6 seconds too, with Avatar about to come back in. So they can decide if they want to go for the full engage. It's all about inching, working in those napalms. Lutano uses the boosters, but Kitty the focus. Here's the Earthquake. Leftovers trying to find a target, and there will be a toss. Here comes the bunker as well, but the Ardent Defender used with the salvo.
I swear we've had 3 avatars in this fight, but the Leyline Seal and Zugrug sitting there. Nasmus and the rest of the team bring down Garrosh, and the siege is broken, but not in the way that Leftovers were hoping. They've lost one. Podyboss under chase. DAB putting in the damage to force Freedom back, but Freedom this whole time have had their sights on getting this Immortal.
The floodgates are open, and Team Freedom will take their prize, which will be an Immortal, which will be pushing in this bottom lane here, and they can start to make a play for that keep, potentially the core. We are getting to that late game style of Sergeant Hammer, and when she is set up, Leftovers have already had a hard time trying to focus her down. Try doing that with an Immortal.
I don't know, Trick. I don't know what can be done here. The nice thing is that Leftovers, through that whole entire ordeal, what I'm gonna call it, in the center, don't have that much shielding, but it's still the problem remains that they are so melee centered. They're relying more on their poke and the positioning to make sure that they don't start getting someone thrown in once walls are down by someone like Urel. Or just portaled on top of. That's also scary.
For me, I was wondering if they thought that they were in a position where the game is starting to become unwinnable, if they would go for an all-in play where they go for a massive flank. They decided not to. They play defense themselves, and they're doing pretty well, but now the keep is going to be under siege as Lutano inches his way forward. Nasmus ready to jump in on a target that might come in for an invade. This keep should be going down, but will Team Freedom be able to grab any more? 19 is the next level for them as well, as they can decide to wait back and get that level 20.
Well, the rest of the team retreated. Zugrug used Avatar. Scare away, just clearing a path for the rest of Team Freedom to leave. And of course, they have portals, which have been used very defensively. This is a defensive style of Medivh for Team Freedom, used in conjunction with the rest of the heroes to keep Sergeant Hammer alive. Team Freedom get the first keep. They're on their way to 20. This game has been...
That keep going down at 22 minutes is kind of the definition of what this composition for Team Freedom does. Slow and steady wins the race. They are the turtle. Leftovers have yet to find the hare. They cannot get the fight they want. They can't find that explosiveness coming in. And part of that comes down to that tank selection, right? You having Garrosh at the early picks there, and you have your opponents in a spot where they can come in, where they punish. And that punish right now has been Sergeant Hammer. They have, of course, a great front line themselves, too. They can protect her, and Leftovers just don't have the ability to break that protection.
So if we get into another stage of the game around the Immortals, which I think we are very likely to do unless Team Freedom can force something with 20 and blow the game out of proportion suddenly, would you like to see Leftovers go into more of an adjustment of these big flanks?
Sometimes you may have to muscle your way in to get a victory.
Wise words.
I'm just worried that they can't get... I mean, I look at the composition, and Garrosh is the one that I'm just so terrified for. I mean, level 20, you get the unkillable Phoenix. You can get the shields for Thrall as well with the Earthquake. So you do have additional shields and health available to be able to force the issue, right? You can take a little bit more damage in, maybe get Sergeant Hammer to pop her boosters, and then find a Rhaegar that is out of position. It just seems unlikely. It's just, when do you get frustrated enough to go for that attempt? 'Cause that's what I'm waiting for.
Will Freedom stick around here with this 20? Immortals are spawning in 17 seconds. They can head straight over to the right and be set up for that. So yeah, they're gonna leave Leftovers, clean up their base, work their way to Storm tier talents. They will have, if they can drop a good Earthquake, Earth and Shields, maybe give them some more group survivability.
Yeah, that's definitely one way for them to approach that. And we'll see if they get that at level 20. They are closing in on that 20. They have bottom lane to soak in, top lane as well, but Team Freedom, thanks to their lead they have earned this entire match, will be able to get the free halftime show, and there it is, it pops. At the same time, Leftovers will be getting level 20. They have to come over and start setting up for a defense, and they'll be doing that right when they hit 20, and there it is. Mopsio leads the charge.
Fortified bunker too. So there's a lot of safety, a lot of ability, and they're muscling in like you were wanting to see.
They had to do it. They even dropped the Lornado. Granted, Lornado is a 40-second cooldown. You can throw that out willy-nilly, try and find a target. Maybe you get lucky and pick somebody off. Team Freedom on the side, though, with this spawn, they are next to their well, and they can siege the Immortal. This is frustrating.
Yeah, this siege positioning, look at this.
Yeah.
Vision being given by Medivh, just staying on top of the Immortal. Collusion on one side, Yrel on another, and then Zagrug down below. Lutano, they just keep healing him back up, giving him all the healing necessary. Gonna even portal him back to the well to just top off and then finish this out.
The discipline for Team Freedom is on point right now. Just staying level-headed, not allowing Leftovers to get that to go in. Here is a Lornado, but everyone just jumps away. Lutano doesn't get caught out. Medivh doesn't have to leave bird form. Another cooldown burned. 30 more seconds to be back up. The Immortal, though, starting to lose some health here with Napalm sieging away from afar. Leftovers are on a timer.
Even with Advanced Lava Strike, all designed for the poke, the turtle approach of Team Freedom. There is a camp in the bottom lane, which our lovely observers are showing, that is slowly taking down that fort. Leftovers go to muscle in yet again. And with more self-unstoppables now available to Team Freedom, with Yrel hitting 20, getting Seraphim. That's why the Lornado couldn't bring in Sergeant Hammer. It's very difficult to actually, you can get the stun, but once he moves into position, seeing that, then having to just back out because you don't have the ability to toss someone back in.
Sieging away. And maybe muscle's not enough. Maybe you need to buy a truck. Just full on 4 people running at them. Don't stop. And see if you can win the team fight. Portal comes out. Lutano side to the left. Gives him an opportunity to put a little bit more damage. Another napalm comes out. Get some damage on that. 8k health left here. For Leftovers in the Immortal.
There are these bottomless flasks, so maybe Leftovers just go in, get the jump. They have the healing there already set up. They're getting the flip on Zagrug. They have had it. This is it. Last stand for them. Purification salvo goes out, and they take down Medivh.
They get Medivh. Can they get more, though? Lutano sieging away. The napalm still coming on top of the Immortal. Boosters allow for him to escape. Leftovers have earned a 5 before. But with only 5k HP left in the Immortal, they have to leave members for defense. They have to target down Sergeant Hammer and chase her around. Lutano's actually up in this weird situation where he's in a one-on-one on the top left. Trying to buy some time. Mopsio gets in for another combo on the bottom right, but Mopsio gets taken out.
1 goat, 1 dwarf, and 1 dog equals a kill on Garrosh. And now they're not done. They're going after Link 2, Linked and the Immortal. DAB wants to get that last shot. If he can on Collusion, he just can't. Lutano lived through all of that.
3k health left on the Immortal. Team Freedom gets some damage in. Meanwhile, Thrall was taking the time on the Immortal on the left side to burn it down quickly. He got it down to 27,000 HP, but the core is in trouble. There are catapults seeping on in. The slow and steady race for Team Freedom is starting to be won here as the catapults are shelling away 5% at a time. Leftovers will have to send members back to defend, but that means Team Freedom, with the members they do have, can finish off the Immortal, and they do. And now Team Freedom can start the victory march.
This core is at 35%. There are so many ways to approach this final march for Team Freedom. I thought maybe there was hope. I thought Leftovers found the keys to the truck, put their foot on the gas pedal, but it was not enough for them, even getting the 1 kill that they did get there.
They found the keys, but they ran out of gas. They just didn't have enough room.
It always happens,
It always happens. Team Freedom with 5 will push in the top lane with the Immortal. Brawl stops the catapults from the bottom lane. Leftovers will have one last team fight in them, but this is a 27-minute Immortal. This thing jumps once it gets to the core. Big leyline seal coming out. The Kidney will use the Earthquake, but Team Freedom says later. They run straight to the core and they burn it down.
They've bypassed anything else, and they are on the fast track to victory in Game 2. Team Freedom take out the Leftovers and are 1 game away from advancing to the winners finals.
Team Freedom up 2-0. Game number 2, they played a composition that required you to be disciplined, and they showed that their teamwork is coming through and shining well. Leftovers could not force a fight. It seemed like they were just banging their head against the wall, and the wall would never crumble.
They played so well to their win condition, and how that comp needs to be played, but I'm with you, man. Yuck. Like, as Leftovers trying to play that composition, play versus that composition with what they had, they tried everything. It's just with what they had, they were put into such a difficult position, especially when that keep went down and they had to try to hang around for so long.
Well, let's go over to our analysts and see what they thought about that match.
As Gilly put it, this team now standing one victory away from the winners bracket finals, but more importantly, securing a top 3 finish. If you win in this round, you do secure that top 3 position. And for a team like Team Freedom that had the aspirations at the previous Western Clash, it seems like they just put it on a little hiatus. But 6 months later, let's do it again. Let's run it back. And right now, things looking very good through the first 2 games.
Team Freedom, their ability to adapt and evolve has been absolutely impressive, and it's very surprising to a lot of people. I'm sure that they're a top 4 contender, but at this rate, they're looking to eat EU's lunch and have leftovers.
I love you, man. For myself, Leftovers, they looked like they're just completely outclassed when it comes to the macro game. Almost that entire game was very frustrating for themselves. You could both hear it in comms, you could see it in their gameplay, and actually I have a replay that we can jump into that just shows the kind of style of play that Team Freedom were basically executing in order to put them in that sort of situation. It was fantastic. What we see here, I honestly think the biggest problem is the Medivh. Like, look at the way that they've this is after, okay, first off, there's so much to talk about here. Look at the time. It's 20 minutes into the game and it's level 17. No person in this game is catching Soak anywhere. This is such a slow match, and it's frustrating the Leftovers. They want to fight. They want to fight, and they want to try to find any sort of skirmish that they possibly can. But look at what Lutano does. He's sitting here on this portal. The other end of the portal is right here. It has CC on it with that Lornado, but it's not really that important at this point. And what happens is he dips into it. It's really fun to watch. He dips into it, and now watch what happens with Mobzio. He ends up moving up towards the portal to try to find a pick, but now he's completely opened up his backline by positioning up this way. There's absolutely nothing that Mobzio can do to stop Zugrug from moving forward and aggressing onto the Leftovers, and that's exactly what happens. So as we move forward, we see Zugrug jumps in, finds the engagement, and after all of this CC, after the bunker comes out, watch the ley line from Medivh on the top side. This is what secures Team Freedom a kill in this play right here. The ley line comes through, just absolutely fantastic, allows Team Freedom to just all step into this fight at this point, look for picks, and then right after that, they're able to basically, off of this single pick, they pick up the Immortal, they pick up a huge lead, they get the first keep of the game, and then it allows their composition to just continue to do this annoying stall style comp that just really ended up securing them the game.
Things working out there with Sergeant Hammer. Every time that Garrosh comes in, I just want to thank and really not thank Rich at Midseason Brawl for bringing Sergeant Hammer into this meta. But we will get back to this series in just a moment. We're going to have a quick commercial break, and when we come back, it will be Team Freedom. Can they take this series against Team Leftovers? We'll find out soon.